build the muscle of true self-love and inner worthiness,
Hmm.
then we have the foundation to actually create more abundance. She says to me, I'm an acupuncturist. And it was like a lightning bolt had hit me. When there is a lack of flow of energy, of chi, that's when symptoms arrive.
Hello and welcome to Living Rich Syrup. This is the podcast where we help you to get back in touch with that inner truth, that magic, something I had to learn to do, which is why I started this whole podcast. And my guest today is incredible. She's an acupuncturist. She's a Chinese herbalist. She's a yoga instructor, all focusing around women's health. And she's so incredible that we recorded this entire episode and I forgot to use audio and she came back again to do it a second time. Please welcome Tara Tonini. Tara,
Thanks, Rich.
did you lose some faith in me after I forgot to record the audio? We still
No,
good?
no, not at all. I just thought your shaman was working really hard to reconnect
You
us.
missed it last time. It was really funny. I mentioned I knew a shaman. I got called out for it, and then the entire episode we kept referring back to how I know shamans. So maybe we could do it again this episode. You know what I find interesting? So first, let's get into your acupuncture now because I've actually been seeing you for so many months now, and what you do is just not. It's on another plane. It's incredible. I've been to acupuncture before you, and it was great. I love acupuncture. I've always loved acupuncture. My back froze during a move, and I couldn't even lay down. It was so bad. And I went to a chiropractor, I went to a physical therapist, and acupuncture actually released me. So I'm a big lover of acupuncture. But what you do is so special because it's not just about the body, it's much deeper. It feels spiritual when I go into your practice. And I feel like you just walk in and know what to do beyond the science, beyond the needles. Like you'll just be like, oh, I'll have a hip problem. And you'll be like, I think it's in your right shoulder that is causing the hip. I'm like, how would you know that? And then you'll put the needle in my right shoulder, and I'll be like, and I can feel the connection. And I'm like, she just like felt that. How does that work?
Certain things I can see. There are physical imbalances in the body where like the left hip might be a little hiked up and the right shoulder might be out of whack. Some of it is like physical, like you could see it in the map of the body. And then some of it is energetic, which I have a really hard time describing in words.
Hmm.
And then some of it is just innate inner knowing and intuition. Like something will come through and say, like, here, or a message, or an image, or a sound, or sometimes even like guides will come through and say, this, support that, go here. The great thing about acupuncture is even if you don't have the perfect point prescription, the body is still going to really benefit from the acupuncture.
Have you always been connected to spirit?
Yeah, I didn't always admit it, but yes.
What was the point where you were like, okay, this is a real thing, and then you allowed you to get deeper into that connection? Do you remember?
Well, I was always extremely intuitive as a child, and I grew up in the country, so lots of times outdoors and connected to nature. And um, I would have messages or visions, or a lot was coming through spiritually as a child. And I would tell my mom would be like, oh, you're just so creative. You have a very creative mind. And so, she wasn't intentionally trying to squash that part of me. But it taught me that, oh, I have a creative mind, not a spiritual mind. And so I'm making this up, or I'm creating this in my mind, which isn't the truth. It was just my childhood interpretation of it.
It's interesting. So many people have things like that happen, right? So they go, oh, I'm having this experience when they're kids, especially. And your parents are trying to protect you a lot of times, but they will squash things, and your teachers will squash things, and your siblings will squash things. And many people then just become very limited in being able to experience beyond what they just see, And then other people like you, like me, they go, no, I'm gonna keep exploring this. Even if it's not right away, it happens at some point. But when I'm going for a hike, I can hear the trees.
Mm.
that not just like blowing in the wind, like I can hear them talking, not words, but you know what I mean, like on a deep
Yeah.
level. And I feel like if I had shut that down when I was a kid, 'cause I was called weird all the time.
Yeah. I
You're
love a
weird.
weirdo.
You talk too much. And I talk too much because, I'll be on the table and you'd be like, you need to just let the medicine go. And I'll be like, blah, 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 blah. You're like, it's okay. Just let the medicine go. Blah, 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 blah. You're like, okay, I'm going to leave you for like a little bit with the medicine. And then when you leave me, all the emotions start coming. I'm like, I really did need to be quiet because I've been on the table laughing hysterically after
Mm,
you leave. I've been on the table crying. No, no idea why. Just like a total release. I've been on the table and had massive visualizations
mm.
of things that were eye-opening to me that changed the way that I was looking at something. And that's the part of acupuncture that I don't think a lot of people even understand. I don't know that everybody gets that experience because you have to be open. But if you are, it is amazing.
Yeah, and what I think is interesting about that, Rich, is originally you came for hip pain.
Right.
And so even though you were coming in with the physical discomfort, things are working beyond, like, and I was treating specifically for hip pain in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then, but the medicine is vast and it doesn't differentiate the mind from the body, the external from the internal world. And so they're always in co-collaboration.
You know, I feel like when I do the podcast, when I do my videos, my feeling in my heart is that even if only 5 people see it, 100 people, 1,000 people, 5 people, however many people see or hear it, there's a person that needed this message that it's going to reach. That's always my philosophy. So if there's somebody that listens to or watches this podcast that was afraid of, I know people are afraid of the needles sometimes, but they're just afraid or reluctant. What could you tell them to allow them to release that fear and see an acupuncturist?
Oh, I love this question. This is my opinion. My opinion about the fear of needles is it's actually pre-verbal because many people, especially if you grew up in in the United States, for example, we get vaccinated in infancy. And so what happens is the people who are protecting us and keeping us safe take us to the doctor's appointment. And for a variety of very, very, very good public health reasons, we're being vaccinated. But what happens is our care providers are saying it's not going to hurt. This stranger comes into the
Mm.
room and says it's not going to hurt. They physically hold us down and restrain us. It hurts. And then everyone is a liar and needles are dangerous. Needles hurt.
Hmm.
And so I think that there's a pre-verbal fear that gets stored in the tissues of the body that
Mm.
needles equal pain or needles equal a lack of agency or a lack of choice. And I talk a lot about this with my patients because the lumen or the hole of the needle is absent in an acupuncture needle. So nothing's physically going into the body. We use surgical steel needles, but they're even thinner than the cat's whisker. So if you have a pet at home, they're even thinner than that. And yes, when it goes through the dermis or the superficial layers of the skin, it can be a little pinchy, but overall acupuncture should feel painless. There
Hmm.
will be loads of other sensations, but our goal is to let it be painless.
Yeah, I think you don't even, what you feel is beyond the needles.
When there is a lack of flow of energy, of chi, that's when symptoms arrive. But we're pain free and in optimal health when the chi or the energy is moving freely through the body. So, anytime a symptom or a pain or an ache or something is arising, it's an indication that the chi is not flowing. And so, for me, that indication is then an invitation to look into our lives physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Where are we not in alignment with our truest self?
What is I know you have so much schooling in this area. What is that process like? How does that work to become an acupuncturist? What does somebody go through?
Oh, great question. So, you have to have a master's degree in science. And along with that, we learn traditional Chinese medicine. So we're learning biomedical or Western medicine in conjunction with traditional Chinese medicine. And it's a very painful process because you're using two different lenses of medicine and trying to incorporate them at the same time. For me, it took me 7 years. But that's because I had to first get my bachelor's in science and then my master's in science. And then, depending on where you're practicing, some states require a doctorate level. New York City doesn't, but I'm working towards my doctorate. I'm just a few credits shy of that
So you'll be
now.
Dr. Tonini?
Yeah.
Will I still be able to call you Tara, or
Yeah, of course.
I don't have to call you Dr. Tonini?
No, you have to call me Dr. T. No, I'm kidding.
Are you going to get special parking once you're a doctor?
Yeah. For my non-existent
I know you're
car.
just trying to impress me that you're going to be a doctor, but I do happen to hang out with some shamans, so it's not like being a doctor is that impressive. So why did you get into it? So I know you started with yoga and you were working with pregnant people and that is the beginning, but how did that turn into acupuncture?
So, two spiritual experiences that led to acupuncture school. The first one, I was working in fashion and particularly international product development. So, I was about 90% travel, flying all over from California to New York to Hong Kong, where our Asia-based office was. And with all of that travel and being a young person and partying way too much and not really taking care of my body, I would land in Hong Kong and instantly be sick. But the beautiful women in our Hong Kong office would take me to the TCM doctor for some type of treatment, whether it was like a foot massage or a Tui Na, which is Chinese medical massage, or maybe an herbal treatment. And I instantly felt better. So that was my introduction to Chinese medicine, and it was in China. So,
So what
so
was the
that
other
was
one?
the
That was the
first
first
one.
spiritual experience? So there were
So the
two.
second one, I was hanging out with shamans in Nicaragua.
All right, you don't know any shamans. Give me a break.
And I was I was in Nicaragua doing my first yoga teacher training. There's this beautiful Australian woman in the training. And in the first week, everyone's kind of getting to know each other. And she says to me, I'm an acupuncturist. And it was like a lightning bolt had hit me.
Mm.
Every single cell in my body started to vibrate. And I knew without a doubt that that was what I was going to
Ooh,
do.
I just felt it.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
hit me like a, and I didn't know what acupuncture was. I didn't know who this woman was. I definitely wasn't going to go to Australia. Like there were so many other factors that should have taken me a different way. But
Mm.
I knew from the crown of my head to the tips of my toes that that's what I was going to do. And it took me 12 or 15 years later to actually enroll in medical school. Um, but that's just part of a spiritual journey, right?
What do you
You
think
get the
you're so
messages and
I always say a lot of people take their dreams, the coat closet in a house where you just every time you got company come over, you throw everything in the coat closet. I feel like people do that with their dreams. They're okay with having dreams as long as nobody else knows about them. But as soon as they're exposed, they throw the dream in the coat closet and slam that door shut so that you can't see it in the house. And I always tell clients, you need to occupy the house that you're in. So allow the dreams to live in that house with you and allow people that come and visit that house to see those dreams. And that's how they become real. Is this your dream? Are you living your dream as an acupuncturist, or is there something else that you want to do?
well, there's so many things that are beyond this, but this I definitely know for a fact this was one of those life accomplishments that was very um beyond transformative. Like it helped me deeply love and respect myself. And going through medical school and all of the twists and turns and adversity that came along with that, it really, really taught me how to believe in myself.
Do you think that you said there's so many other things that you want to do. Are those in the closet or are they out in the house right now?
Oh no, they're like in the cauldron at a slow simmer.
I love that. Ah, yes. The dreams are happening. Um, we talked about abundance last time, and I had told you that I had this beautiful meditation where I saw this me really kind of floating above the earth and just being lifted up by my own energy. And the message that I got was, "You are abundance." And that changed me. That meditation changed me because I stopped believing that I needed to try to feel abundant or acquire abundance or pretend abundance, because that's what I always thought manifestation was if you feel it, if you believe it hard enough, it'll happen. So I used to really focus and try to concentrate so much that this thing would happen. And I think I was strangling a lot of things. I was holding on too tightly as opposed to just understanding that being a human being and the energy that exists inside of you is the abundance. And as soon as I had this meditation, I got a call from NBC for a show that I had pitched a long time ago. I actually got a call from my agent, my TV agent, and he said, "Oh, we have a deal. We have a deal, and it's great. It's all this money, and if it happens, we still need to produce the pilot. But if it goes, it'll be a great windfall for me." And I was like, "Oh, there's no coincidence. This deal has been going on for 6 months." And I just was like, "I am abundance." And it's like, "Oh, here's a deal." So I love talking about this stuff with people, but what is your feeling on manifestation?
What is my feeling on manifestation? I think, in my experience, that we are only able to manifest what we think we're worthy of. And so, if there is some type of subconscious belief or lack of worthiness, that is part of the magic of the unraveling.
Mm.
So, you and I had talked about this one time in a coaching session.
I
Um,
coach Tara, by the way. That's what she's talking about.
yeah,
I
yes,
coach you,
yeah,
you do acupuncture on me.
yeah,
And so, yes,
yeah.
okay, go ahead.
We share different forms of healing and magic. Yeah. And I was having very, very, very low self-worth thoughts in my early 20s. And I had gotten my dream car that I didn't think that I was like worthy of getting, because I'd always had like a clunky pickup truck where you turn the engine over and the Cadillac converter starts rumbling, or a big burst of smoke comes out of the
I grew up in
tailpipe.
the
Like,
country too, Tara. I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah,
I can
yeah.
picture it.
So my first truck was a 91 Silverado, and I bought it out of a farmer's field. Like, it was sitting in the field. And I was like,
Wow.
I
Oh
want
my
that
God.
truck.
Rust holes in it.
Yeah, and then I got a job at a body shop and I souped it up, and then I got really into
Of
like
course you did.
lowrider truck culture. Oh yeah. Yeah. Love it. I love a truck. But fast forward. So I got this Nissan Altima, and it was like my dream car, and it was so nice. And I'm driving up the hill listening to The Secret on a DVD
Mhm.
and trying to manifest, but feeling really, really, really low self-worth in me. And I remember just like driving up this hill and being like, I'm so grateful for this car. And then
No,
I got
no.
hit by an uninsured driver.
Oh my God. You know what? Because you didn't belong in an Altima though. You're just not, that's not your dream car. The universe is like, get back to the truck, Tara. Come on.
So what the full circle is, I think that when we can build the muscle of true self-love and inner worthiness,
Hmm.
then we have the foundation to actually create more abundance. But if we're like, even if you have the ability to manifest something that's beyond your wildest dreams, in my experience, it'll only last so long because it's not in alignment with the true self-worth
Hmm.
or the true inner love.
I guess my question for you is somebody that's watching or listening to this that just feels like, God, I wish that I could feel self-worth, but I just don't think it's possible. What would your message be to them?
I don't know. I have to think about it deeper.
Okay.
Maybe because it's a process that I'm actively working in, and so I haven't considered about it for others.
That's a, by the way, that's a great tool.
What?
When you are working on it within,
Ah,
you learn how to give it. it's a boomerang. So,
Mm,
I tell people with their core emotional needs, if your core emotional need is, oh, I love it. I give other tools. I try to teach them how to somatically ground it. I teach them how to journal their chaos versus their truth. But the easiest tool I can give to somebody who's in that beginner phase that can't make that first jump is if you're an am I loved person, give love.
mm,
Give love, boomerang. If you're am I secure? Because it's also your superpower. Whatever your biggest need is, you know it but more intimately than anybody. So if you
yeah,
feel not good enough, you know how to make other people feel good enough because you know what you need, you
yeah.
wish you had. So when you help other people to feel good enough, boom, right back at you. And I'm not talking about people pleasing or bending over backwards to do it. Those are unhealthy behaviors. But the way that you would need to feel it, if you give it, it comes back.
Yeah.
It's really a beautiful thing. And it's a simple thing. A lot of things are simple. They're not that
Oh,
complicated,
yeah. Incredibly simple.
you know?
We
And
just make the madness out of it.
so meditation. A lot of people, when I tell them that I meditate, they say, "Oh, yeah, but I can't do it because my mind's too busy and I get uncomfortable." What? You gave great advice the last time we recorded this episode about women versus men when it comes to meditation.
Oh.
But
Mhm.
what advice do you have to people that are looking to meditate and build a meditation practice?
Keep it simple. I think that there's like this perfectionism or performative aspect of meditation, of like the upright yogi that we talked about. And, especially if you're in a lot of pain, you might not be able to sustain that posture. So even if it's 60 seconds of following the length of your breath, or 3 minutes of repeating a word or phrase that you want to call into your life, I think the more simple it is, the easier it is to build the repetition. And a 1 degree shift gets us in a different direction. So even if it's just 1 degree shift every single day, you're going to end up in a completely different direction.
By the way, that's so true of life too. If you feel like you can't get through an obstacle and you just keep going, sometimes just changing your like that is such eye-opening. And you go,
Yeah.
oh, that's not the path. This is the path over here. It's adapting.
Yeah.
But you talked about also how men and women
Mhm.
meditate differently. Talk about that.
Yeah, so creative centers in the body are a little bit different in masculine and feminine energies. And so many of the recorded meditative practices were practiced by biologically men. And so that upright posture of energy coming through the crown or the top of the head and moving down into the basin of the pelvis, or like that receiving of energy is very unique to a biological male. And so that upright posture is a little bit easier to maintain. And it tends to be like a catalytic masculine energy, where I encourage most of my patients and yoga students to meditate in a lying down posture. Of course, we don't want to fall asleep, but I actually think, especially for women right now and the amount of stress that our nervous systems are under, that space between asleep and fully awake is a really beautiful place for innate and deep healing to happen at a cellular level. And so in yoga, we would call that state yoga nidra. And then if you really get into the deep dive of yoga nidra, it's actually the practice of the goddess.
Mm.
And so it's a deep receptive state, and the
So
energy is moving from the basin of the pelvis upward.
you talked to me about one day how I am fire and wood.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I thought it was interesting. I was like, this is interesting. I'm fire. It makes sense because I'm so I talk a lot and I have big energy. I am abundance. And the wood made sense to me too, especially the way that I react to acupuncture, where the needle sometimes will shoot right out of me if the energy is high in those areas, and it's like almost like a board. And then I thought it was interesting, but then I went home and I started talking to Julie, my wife, about it. And Julie was fascinated. She started researching it, and then she saw you, and you were like, "Oh, Julie's earth and water," and we became obsessed. We were talking all about it. What is this earth, water, fire? Explain what this is.
So there are five primary elements in traditional Chinese medicine: fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. And similar to yin and yang, we're all five of them, except our constitution, like who we came into this world to be. And some of this is based on like epigenetics and our ancestors. the constitution we incarnate into and the environment in which we live in, especially in the first 7 to 8 years of our life, deeply influence the trajectory of our health. And that ends up being the primary constitution of who we are. And so while we have all five, there are more that are a little bit more prominent, and those show up in our physical body, the map of our face, the fluctuations and the projection of our voice, the foods that we choose, the climates that we want to live in or feel most comfortable at ease in. They're all working and they're independent, but they're all interdependent. So one can't be one without the other. And that's really where the beauty of Chinese medicine lies.
And so you're
One
saying what you're saying
one
is
can't be one
fire.
without the other.
What you're saying is fire and wood are the best, though, right? I think that's what I'm not
Yes,
sure you
that's
said. But that's what I
exactly what
heard.
I'm saying. You are the
To
best.
sum it up, if you're gonna be one, fire, and if you're gonna be two, wood, and if you're fire and wood, forget it. You're
Well, here's the thing about fire and wood people, they get a lot done because if you want the fire to be fueled, you fuel it with wood.
Mm,
And
totally.
fire and wood people get a lot of stuff done.
Yeah, but they don't get a lot of rest.
No, they're not known to rest.
No, they don't. They're
And
tired.
here's the thing, if you run out of wood to fuel the fire can only burn for so long and then it smolders itself.
Mm.
So there's a balance between all of the elements because if you fuel the fire for too long, the fire burns out.
And that's why you go to acupuncture.
Indeed,
You
to
get your
get more
chi
earth,
back.
to get more water, to get more metal.
Right. You rebalance the elements. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so success. Success is a big part of when people come in for coaching, even if they come in and they want weight loss or they want a career change or they want a partner. It all comes down to the same thing, which is doesn't matter what you're doing, but figuring out what the first step is, taking action, being able to be adaptable, being mentally excellent, being externally excellent, holding your body the right way. It's all connected, no matter what you're trying to achieve. But you are such a hard worker. You're one of the hardest workers I've seen. You work and work and work and work, and you're also always growing. What do you think drives you to be able to keep going, even when sometimes things don't work out exactly as you planned?
Well, nothing works out exactly as I planned.
Right.
Nothing ever. And I think it's just ever since I was a kid, I was always deeply fascinated by a lot of different things. And so if something lights me up and I just go towards it 100 miles an hour and I want to learn everything about the thing and then I want to do it. And um,
What's your sign?
so my astrological sign,
Yeah.
I'm a Capricorn sun, I'm a Leo moon, and I'm a Scorpio rising.
Wow. Okay. Because what you just described sounds exactly like a Gemini.
Oh, you all are the great communicators.
Yes, but we're also like I get so obsessed with different things and I will become really good at it and then I don't become and once I get really good at it I'm like, okay, next. I'm really
Yeah,
good at a lot of things.
yeah,
But for me to become great at something, I really have to like it not to get bored with it.
yeah, yeah. I don't get bored. I don't think I've ever been bored in my life. There's too many fun things to do.
Right, exactly. Me too, but that's why I moved to the next one. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm really good now like guitar. Okay, I play guitar.
So I'm curious, Rich, for you, with your in all these like multifaceted interests, and you're also a multi-passionate entrepreneur. Was there ever a time in your life, now I have the mic,
I love
was
it.
there ever a time in your life where you felt like you were frustrated about loving something so much and then wanting to change it up?
Okay, here's how I'm going to answer that question. I played baseball my whole life. My dream was to become a professional baseball player. I was fire and wood, right? I'd go down into my basement, I'd throw the ball as hard as I could off the wall and learn to react and react. In the winter, I actually cut off a sleeve for my jacket and just to put the sleeve on so I could throw outside without hurting my arm in the winter. I would just walk around with the sleeve on, throwing off a stone wall, clearing out snow to become a really good baseball player. And I loved it. And I was so passionate. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And then I went to college and I still loved baseball and I was playing, but they put it in such a structure that was not fun, which was like get up early, run 2 miles in the winter. You can't go skiing. You can't have friends. All we do is play baseball all year long, including in the summer. And I started to just not like baseball because it was too much and it was restricting me in other parts of my life. And I've never liked big systems that try to control me, ever. That's what makes me an entrepreneur. And so then I got into comedy. And comedy was the same thing. I loved comedy. Oh my God, I loved comedy. I loved David Letterman growing up because he used to make my dad laugh. And then because he could make my dad laugh, I wanted to make people laugh the way that he was able to do it for my dad. And I wanted to give people that break. And I loved it. And I had a TV show in college that I worked around the clock. And we won a college comedy Emmy Award. People recognized me on campus. Oh, it's Rich and Joe, Rich and Joe. And I loved it. Okay. And then I moved to New York and I started to go to comedy clubs and become a comedian. And then that system aggravated me. It was like you had to kiss up to the certain people. You had to kind of like go with your hat in your hand, like, please let me be a performer tonight. And it just annoyed me. It was too much structure, and it took away the love. And as soon as my love is taken away because of structure, it doesn't work for me. Which is exactly why the coaching business works so well for me, because I'm creating this entire thing, and there's nobody telling me what I can and can't do. I create my speeches. I create my social media content. I create my coaching plans for my clients. And to be honest with you, like a client sits with me for an hour, but there's an hour prep, especially at the beginning, and an hour post. So it's a 3 hour session that
Yeah.
they're getting because I care so much about their results. If I worked for a corporation, they would tell me that that's not time efficient
Yeah.
and that I can only do 15 minutes of prep and 15 minutes of post. And that's what people become eventually anyway. But I like to have the control over my passions and what I love so that somebody else can't take it away from me. Was that the question?
No, but I like the answer. But actually, your answer got me to my answer, which is freedom.
Freedom.
I
Freedom
I
is,
love the freedom to choose. I have no business being anyone's employee.
yeah, you know what's funny? When we were talking once, you said, whenever I'm feeling like, frustrated with the growth of my business, I imagine working for someone and I really imagine I sit with it.
Noah, I
Oh no, you
go
do
on
it. You
interviews.
go on
I-
interviews. That's
I'll
right.
go on an interview and I call that fuck you fuel. I will go to the interview and I'll do a good job in the interview. And then I'm instantly reminded that I have no business working for anybody else.
Yes, that's hilarious. You actually go through
Mhm.
the whole, but a lot of people
Oh,
can't even get an
yeah.
interview. You find a way to get an interview
Oh, yeah. I get the
just,
interview
just so you can not want to work there.
just so I can be so clear in my entrepreneurial path.
That's amazing. So where are you heading? Where is Tara going to be in 10 years?
Ooh, interesting thought. Not where I think I'm going to be. I know that for
That's for
sure.
sure.
Um, but there's so much talk about AI right now and this deep fear of AI. But I think we're in a very uniquely positioned moment. And I actually think that this is one of the reasons why I chose to incarnate. Like, I am dyslexic, and I grew up in my whole upbringing of a structured school system thinking that I was dumb and inadequate. And then I get into this master's degree and I finally get an adult diagnosis for my dyslexia. And then I have this child psychologist being like, you have too many adaptive resources. Like, you've taught yourself too many tricks for me to actually give you a proper diagnosis. So it was fabulous. And then I learned about all these massively accomplished people that are dyslexic, like Barack Obama. I didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah. So, extremely long story short, I know that we are in a pivotal time where we can leverage AI to our ability and we can use it in a very intelligent way, not let it use us to source out the things that are far too time consuming and lack the human creativity needed to actually create positive change. So I want to leverage AI to take away the mundane tasks so I can get deeply rooted back in my creativity and help way more people than I'm able to help right now.
I love
Because
that.
right now, my business model is very much one-to-one patient care, and that'll never go away. I love it so much. But working one to one, I'm very limited, like you are in coaching too. And this medicine that I have the deep honor and great fortune of being able to practice, it can help so many people that I can't be limited to one time forever.
Well, I knew you had worked with people who were pregnant with acupuncture and yoga, both before they had the baby and after, but I didn't know how you got into it. So share with the audience how you kind of ended up doing this sort of work.
I was working in New York City and running around the city as a full-time yoga instructor and decided to get really clear on what type of population I wanted to be of service to. And so I did a prenatal yoga teacher training and fell in love with this idea of using yoga and mindfulness to stay really centered in both the mind, the body, and connected to your baby during pregnancy. And so I started teaching yoga all over New York City. And a lot of people, as you know, are in New York because of a job or a career change. And so not everyone is local and has a great source of community or network here. So a lot of my yoga students were asking me to come and attend their births. And I was like, I'm not qualified for that. I need to think about that a little bit
Yeah.
more. So I did a training for a birth doula training. And basically, this is a non-medicalized approach to supporting a birthing person. And so you help with childbirth education, you help them navigate all the different complex choices in the childbirth outcome. And I instantly fell in love with birth. I know last time we were talking about this, the first time I saw a person give birth, it was the most spiritual experience I'd ever bared witness to. And
What do you what
then what I,
just go into further detail about that? What do you mean it's how is it
yeah,
so spiritual? What happens?
well, it's a deep surrender of the person who's giving birth, like a deep trust in this threshold of going from one place of humanity to the next realm of humanity, especially for first-time parents. Your life is a particular way, and you can kind of power through that as a pregnant person. You might be a little bit more fatigued, not that you should be powering through, but not that much changes in the first pregnancy in terms of personal life. But as soon as the baby comes earth realm, it's like the only way I can describe it is like, like the
I felt it before
clouds,
you even did it. I was like, she's gonna go.
the clouds part, and the sun shines from other realms, and um, it's just magical. I don't really have words for it. It's spiritual, it's beautiful, it's on this verge of like fear, hope, anticipation, and deep surrender. And everyone in the room can feel it, whether you believe in spirituality or not.
And so you also work with people that before the birth. And I've been in your office, you know, you are my acupuncturist. We're going to get into how amazing you are and how it's just like you take acupuncture to a whole nother place. But I see a lot of pregnant people coming in for yoga, for acupuncture. How does doing yoga and acupuncture and treating yourself a certain way before the birth, how does that help? What are you doing there?
So there we're really connecting the mother with the baby. And for a variety of reasons, mostly I found stress related. Not everyone trusts their body, and not everyone feels connected to their baby yet. And so, especially in prenatal yoga, we're giving people an opportunity to carve out this hour of unapologetic time to be in relationship with their body, their breath, and this growing life force that they're connected to within. And so it's like a little sacred window of time to really drop in and connect. And I've seen really beautiful things happen in the simplicity of that time. Like a lot of mothers will feel the first kicks or flutters of their baby in a prenatal yoga class because they've slowed down and had an ability to really connect. I've also supported mothers who had had multiple losses. And so there might be a huge fear about, is it safe to connect to this baby if I've lost so many pregnancies before? And so building that muscle of trust that, um, even if the baby isn't able to come to full term, that there is a reason of this process um, and creating an opportunity to feel all the ranges of emotions that might be wrapped up in the complexity of that sacred window.
So when you're reaching massive amounts of people, changing their lives, and you have the wealth spiritually, financially that comes with that, are you driving an Altima?
Oh no, I'm back to the truck, baby.
So what can you do? I know people are watching this and listening to it and saying, "Oh my God, she seems amazing," but I live in, Chicago and I can't see
Mhm.
her. I don't even know how to find an acupuncturist out here. I know that you could do things for people beyond having to be in person.
Yeah.
How does that work?
So there's a variety of ways that it work. If it's something that's like a physical pain, a lot of times I'll work virtually with patients and help them come up with their own very tangible and accessible self-care tools. And sometimes that's working the meridian system by touching their own pressure points. Sometimes it's breath work, meditation, physical movement, and strength. And then I have a variety of patients that have like seasonal allergies, or maybe they're trying to get pregnant, and I can prescribe them herbs virtually. And then I have a lot of people who are just interested in like what to cook or what to eat or
Hmm.
how to prepare themselves for the upcoming cold and flu season. And so I support people through the seasonal shifts as well.
And do you have any videos for anyone who's pregnant who's looking for like some tips on how to do yoga as a pregnant woman?
Yeah, yeah. Online, there are a variety of ways to modify. Let's say you're an advanced yoga practitioner and you want to safely modify it for your pregnancy. I've got loads of videos on that. And then also, a lot of people will have a challenging first trimester, and their doctor will tell them to start doing prenatal yoga, but maybe they've never exercised a day in their life. And I also have videos for that of like how to safely set up a practice space in the comfort of your home, what you need, and how to go about that practice of strengthening both your mind and body and connecting with your baby.
What does success mean to you at this point in your life?
No, it's similar to my answer before of like the freedom or the ability to choose.
What does joy look like?
Joy is also freedom because like the freedom to have this beautiful opportunity for fun or pleasure or play come about and being able to just go fucking do it.
Yeah, right. Do you make time for joy? Are you able to find it?
Yeah, I saw this beautiful performance last night at BAM. Beautiful Portuguese singer and um yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
It has to be there. Otherwise the energy's not flowing and I'm no I'm no use to anybody if I'm not experiencing joy.
Why do you think that you came here for this trip around the earth?
To love.
To love?
Yeah.
Hmm. What I said about love?
Boomerang.
That's all you got to do. You give and you'll get. Tara, thank you so much. I really appreciate you doing this twice.
Fantastic. Thank you
So,
for having me.
all right, this has been Living Rich. I couldn't find the camera. This has been Living Rich. Syrup, we'll see you, hear from you. Talk to you next time.